Wow. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Really trying to get my numbers up. I appreciate that. What an insane day today was. He is officially free. He is officially out of court. He is done with his court case. And he only got probation. Crazy. Shout out to Brian Steele. You did that. I ain't even no Thug fan, dog, but you did that. If any of you don't know, because you live under a rock for some reason, Young Thug has been in jail for 3 years on the indictment of a RICO case, as well as 27 others involved with YSL. Prosecutors tried to paint him as a gang leader known as King Slime in his group YSL, and all of that just went out the window. After 3 judges, after so much foul play, after so much lying, after so much everything wrong that you're not supposed to do in a court case, Supreme Court Judge Paige Whitaker came in and gave this man 15 years of probation. That's a hard win. That's a very, very, very hard win, but it is a win for Thug, considering that what he was going through was literal prison. He's not completely free, but he is much freer than what he was during the beginning of this trial. A year before this trial, when he was arrested and sent to jail, he is so much freer. So, yeah, man, good on you. Good on the attorneys. Good on the lawyers. Good on the defense in general. Prosecutors, bad. This is the longest court case in Georgia history, costing millions upon millions upon millions of taxpayer dollars. And it's over now. It is over. Everything started May 9th, 2022, when Young Thug was arrested on alleged charges of him being involved in a shooting in 2015 that left a rival gang member dead. And it escalated to a complete racketeering charge. There was a total of 3 judges involved in the case. 1 judge was kicked off because of bias, foul play, holding meetings in his chambers without the defense around, only with the prosecutors around, holding Brian Steele in contempt, and also sending him to jail to sit with Young Thug, to which Brian Steele said, "I'll go as long as you throw me in a cell with my client so that we can keep on furthering our case." Just a straight dog. The charges that Thug was facing were gang charges, gun charges, and drug charges. He pleaded guilty to 1 gang charge, 2 gun charges, and 3 drug charges. He pleaded no contest to 1 of the gun charges and also no contest to the racketeering charge, which means he could have been treated as if he was guilty, but everything worked out in his favor. Everything. Insane. Like I said, there was 3 judges. The first judge was removed. The second judge could not take the case for reasons that are kind of funny. Apparently, one of her team was affiliated with somebody on Thug's team, and it just would have been bad for her to take the case, so she didn't. And that's where we get Superior Court Judge Paige Whitaker, and that took a hold of this whole thing, and she got Thug off. The prosecution and the defense were trying to reach plea deals, but they just could not come to agreement on anything, causing the defense, Young Thug's team, to enter a blind plea deal, not knowing what the outcome would be. And it was the most favorable possible. They came out on top of everything. They were trying to negotiate giving Thug 45 years with 25 years served in prison and another 20 on probation. The defense was trying to negotiate 45 years with 5 years served in prison and 40 on probation. All sounding insane. He got 15 years of probation, which is a hard win. I don't know anybody that could do anywhere that long without getting caught. It's a lot of dudes that can't do 1 year. It's a lot of dudes that can't do 5 years or even 10 years without slipping up just once and going back to prison. But this is a win on Young Thug's part, on Brian Steele's part. This is such a highlight of Brian Steele's career. It is amazing. And every other attorney and lawyer that was present on the case, everybody that was involved, this is such a highlight. They are calling him this generation's Johnny Cochran. That is a hell of a title to hold. Judge Whitaker gave him a total sentence of 40 years, 5 years in prison, which has been turned into time served, 15 years of probation, and a backloaded 20 years that will be turned into time served if he successfully completes his probation. But that also means if he violates the terms of his probation, he has to spend 20 years in prison. A very hard win. A very hard win. There are things that he pled guilty to. This is not a not guilty verdict. He pled guilty to some things, but this is still a win because if he didn't take this, he would still be sitting in prison. And this is much better. He is much freer outside of a cell. Right before the sentencing, Thug had a really heartfelt apology, and I'm gonna play it right here.
You want to say?
Yes, ma'am. I take full responsibility for, my crimes or my charges. I want to say sorry to my family, my mom. My mom got 11 kids. I can't say all their names, my managers, my kids that's not here. Really everybody that got something to do with this situation, I want to say sorry for just having so much time invested into this, and I am a smart guy, I am a good guy, and I really got a good heart, I find myself in a lot of stuff because I was just nice or cool, and I understand that you can't be that way when you reach a certain height because it could end bad, and it don't really have to have nothing to do with you, but it could end bad and it could, fall on you. And I know the choice is yours, it's up to you, and I hope that you allow me to go home today and just trust in me to just do the right thing and never see you again unless it's at a bar in the future or something. Just out of this type of situation, I promise you I won't ever be in this type of situation again. I'm going away. I've learned from my mistakes. I come from nothing and I've made something and I didn't take full advantage of it. I'm sorry. Through these last 2.5 years of my life, you are really, truly, honestly, the best thing that has happened to me because you made everything fair for me and everybody involved on both sides, I'm sorry to the sheriff, everybody for just having to put extra time in. I know y'all got paid more money, but I'm sorry for y'all having to put this extra time in to be away from y'all family, and I just hope that you find it in your heart to allow me to go home and be with my family and just do better as a person. I know what I bring to the table. I know what I am. I know the heights I've reached. I know the impact I got on people, period, in the community, all people. I learned that late, these past 2 or 3 years of my life, I kind of learned that late, and maybe it was because I was, probably on drugs or anything, I don't know, but I have came to my senses and I understand what I mean to this world, but I am a good guy, I don't mind doing stuff like free shows, and I always did that, I did free shows and gave it to single parents, millions of dollars, I made $1.8 million on a free show, and I gave it all to single parent charity, and I did 2 or 3 shows that made $700,000 a piece, and I gave it to the breast cancer organization. I do things. I put millions of dollars back into my community for real. I really did. I did more than anybody ever did from my side, But I understand, rap lyrics. I understand how it could be twisted. I understand what it could do to the mind of people. I understand all that, and I promise you I'm 100% changing that. It's just, I'm older, I'm grown now, and it's just I'm smarter. It's more things to rap about. I've experienced a lot of good things. I experienced more bad things, but I experienced a lot of good things too. And anyway, I can go forever.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate that you do realize how much of an impact you have on people. I mean, it's past your neighborhood. It's worldwide, especially young people. Consecutively, I'm going to run it consecutive to count one, but I am going to backload. Oh, I'm sorry. That is not commuted. That is 5 years to serve, and it's going to be run consecutively to count one, backloaded, by which I mean after you serve your 15 years of probation, if you have been successful on that probation, and I sincerely hope that you are, then at the end of that 15 years, I will commute the entire rest of any service portion of your sentence to time served. So I'll get to the end of it and give you the total sentence, but I'm also going to impose a $15,000 fine with regard to that count. Count 57, 20 years to serve 5, commuted to time served, the balance of 15 years probated, concurrent with count 1. Count 58, 10 years to serve 5, commuted to time served, balance probated, concurrent with count 1. 59, 5 years to serve, commuted to time served, concurrent with count 1. 60, 5 years to serve, commuted to time served, concurrent with count 1. Count 61, 5 years to serve, that is required to be also a consecutive sentence, so that's going to be run consecutively to count 56 and backloaded. Count 62, 10 years to serve, also required to be served consecutively, that's going to be consecutive to count 61, also backloaded. So essentially, the total sentence is 40 years to serve the first 5 years in prison, but commuted to the time that you have already served, followed by 15 years on probation, followed then by the backloaded 20 years, which can be served in custody and will be served in custody if you are not successful on your probation. If you are successful in completing your 15 years probation, that will be commuted to time served. You are to remain on reporting status for the first half of your probation, active reporting for the first 7.5 years of your probation, and that is pursuant to OCGA 17-10-1, subsection 2, A2A.
He told the judge that she was his biggest blessing in this case because she was the only one that gave him a fair trial. He apologized to her, his family, the deputies, everybody involved with the case. He pleaded that he was a good person. He's grown now. He's given back to his community millions upon millions, and that he's learned his lesson. He realizes that he himself, as Young Thug, has pull in his community. Whitaker had to correct him and say, you have pull worldwide. You influence so much more than just your community. But yes, he understands that. And she felt compassion for the guy. She didn't deem him as a threat. And she gave him 15 years of probation. I shouldn't say 15 years. She gave him probation as opposed to outright jail time, prison time. That is insane. That is amazing. This whole time through the trial, they had nothing on Thug. They were literally scraping and trying to fabricate as much as possible on the fly, trying to get something to stick on this man. And it just wouldn't work. They were really trying to get him sent away for a long time. And it just did not work. That is amazing. Good on the defense team. Y'all did y'all thing. I'm not even a Thug fan. I don't even care for Young Thug like that. But knowing the nature of court cases, defense, prosecution, judges, lawyers, all that, this is a hell of a win. This is a hell of a win. Let's talk about the terms of his probation. I have a news article here, and it just has all the probation terms. I'm going to read them now. He must stay away from the metro Atlanta area as defined by the census for the first 10 years of his probation, except for weddings, funerals, graduations, or a serious illness of an immediate family member. He can arrive 24 hours before the event and must leave within 48 hours after. He must also return to Atlanta area 4 times during each year of his probation to make an anti-gang, anti-gun violence presentation at a grade school, middle school, or high school, or at an organization like the Boys and Girls Club. Those visits can count toward the 100 hours of community service he must complete during each year of his probation. He also cannot knowingly have contact with any member of a criminal street gang. The judge said that includes other people named in the indictment, with the exception of his brother and the rapper Gunna, with whom he has contractual obligations. He cannot participate in criminal street gang activity or promote any gang, including through hand signs. So no more gang signs, can't be twisting your fingers up, like stuff. He also can't contact the victims in the case or their families, may not own a gun, must not use drugs other than those prescribed to him, must submit to random drug tests, and must allow searches of himself and his property and electronics. Some steep stipulations here. I don't wish that he returns back to prison, but I wonder how he'll do. Like I said, I know dudes who can't do 1 year. To do 15 would take such willpower and discipline. He'll have to turn into a Nickelodeon star or a Disney star. Young Thug, as we know it, must disappear. They used lyrics, they plotted against him without the defense. It was bias all throughout the case against Thug, and he ended up coming out on top. They were lying, trying to get this man locked up, and he came out on top. I was personally one of those people when this first came out that Thug went to prison on a RICO charge, believing that there is no way that he gets out of this. I really believe that. Somewhere along the line, you start to see like, oh man, this is very disorganized. Maybe we were wrong, but turns out we were very wrong. He didn't get out scot-free. It's still not a not guilty verdict. He pled guilty. He got probation. A steep probation, if you ask me. A hard win. But considering, again, what he was going through, this is a win. And really, a win is a win. So, good on you, Thug. You got out of this. I can't believe it. I'm going to just keep it real. I can't believe it. I believe that some other co-defendants pled guilty to some things. I don't know their exact story. They're not the important ones here. Young Thug is. There are still people that are on trial, that are being pursued. And, man, crazy that Thug got off. It's just insane that Thug got off. You know, after the sentencing, after the win, there was an interview with the lawyers afterwards. And they went in. They went in. I can't lie. It got me excited. Like I said, I don't even care for Thug like that. But knowing the nature of court cases, it got me excited. So I just want to, I'm going to play a little bit of it. I ain't going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play a little bit of it. They was talking they shit. They was talking they talk. I can't lie.
And I just want to thank all of you. I especially want to thank Jeffrey for letting me represent him. I think he's a wonderful person who does wonderful things and will continue to do things even greater. I cannot express to you how Shaquille Kokomo, how Trisha Renard, how Haley, how my wife Colette, how Bram, how countless people, but especially Miss Courtney Edwards, has worked without sleep for 3 years representing Jeffrey and helping him. I will never be able to stand with anyone more ethical, honest, hardworking, insightful, intelligent, and kind than the Honorable Keith Adams. The gentleman to my left is the best lawyer in the country.
Brian Still, Keith Adams, dream team, homie. Like, legit dream team. And the way that they stand up for Thug is impeccable. Granted, they being paid to do so, but just the way that they stand forward and stand up with their heads held high, chest forward. They stand up for this man. They do their job very, very well. It's impeccable. You can't say it's not. It's incredible. 2 very intelligent men. Brian Still, very intelligent. Able to pick apart the prosecution and call them out. He got balls. He got big balls. Big on this, you know? He's really that guy.
Mr. Steele, do you think prosecutors negotiated in good faith at all during any of these negotiations?
Why don't you let me take this one?
Let me answer that. The short answer is no. This is a case that possibly could have been resolved if folks were reasonable. But we did not believe that we could enter into good faith negotiations with people who wanted a case resolved in a manner simply to save face. And Jeffrey Williams was not going to say things that they wrote for him, that they wanted him to say, that was their theory when it wasn't true. And so, good faith, no. I don't believe we were ever really negotiating in good faith. And you've been here the past year that this case has been on trial. You've seen the numerous motions for mistrial. You've seen the behavior of the state. You've seen the dishonesty. You've seen everything being hidden. You've seen things come out in court, in front of you. And so you know what kind of prosecution we were dealing with, and that's okay. You know, Mr. Steele and I have fought through this the past 2.5 years. And as he said, we ultimately decided we were going to put our faith in the court as opposed to the folks on the other side of the aisle. And, you know, the best thing out of all of this is that Jeffrey Williams, in a very short period of time, will be home. And that's all we've wanted from May 9th, when they went and picked him up and have held him in jail without a bond for the past 2.5 years. He'll be home shortly.
He said the prosecution in the beginning was unreasonable. They are shooting shots directly at them. They ain't said no names, but we know who they talking about. And they is not afraid to say what they believe is true. He said they wanted the case solved just so they don't look stupid. They wanted to save face. They didn't want to seem corrupt and crooked, like they wasn't fabricating everything based off of lies. It's the only reason they wanted to get the case solved, but they just could not let that happen. The defense had to be on all 10, saying there was no negotiation in good faith. Nothing. This is more than just the allegations. The state of Georgia did a huge disservice to my client, and it is something wrong with that. They is going hard. Impeccable. It was multiple times that it should have been a mistrial, but it didn't happen. The man's is eating. He can't trust you old judges. Had to bring the new one. Had to bring Miss Whitaker in there. Because y'all was just going to do us dirty just because you wanted to look good. And you had nothing on my client. Yeah, something. But you ain't had nothing on my client. And I know when he said that Thug will be home shortly. I know that hit so hard. I know it did.
Keith and Brian, this either one of you can answer. So I have two questions for you. First off, you go into a blind plea, you don't know, right? There's nothing for sure. What was your emotions like when you guys went into that? I would imagine the conversation. Can you kind of take us into the room before you went out into court, what the conversations were back and forth? Obviously, I know there's attorney-client privilege, but it's a big decision.
Well, I didn't want to give up the jury trial, but that was a decision made.
He knew they were shooting in the dark. Like, he knew it. Incredible. Can't believe this was the outcome. I would not have been comfortable entering a blind plea deal. No chance. So much uncertainty is rooted in a blind plea deal. You don't know what they gonna give you. You just hoping for the best. And amazingly enough, it worked out for him.
And once that decision was made, we were just thankful that there are people like the Honorable Judge Whitaker who understands what a trial is like and what it should be like. And I cannot thank the Honorable Court for being here and coming in. She is not our first judge, but she's the first time we received justice.
Brian still cannot stand the first two judges. The first judge, really, he cannot stand them. He said thank you to Judge Whitaker for knowing how a trial is supposed to go in the honorable court. He is throwing shots their way. He don't care. He like, I won this. I won it. Literally saying that Judge Whitaker was a godsend because the other judges would have had us.
Mr. Adams, this is your second high-profile RICO case here in Fulton County. Do you think that maybe the prosecutor's office is abusing that statute? And what are your opinions of RICO generally?
I have, for the 30-some-odd years that I practiced law, always believed that if you, as a prosecutor, think that someone has committed a crime, You charge them with the crime, you put it in front of a jury, and then you do it fairly and let the chips fall where they may. The courtroom is not the place to get adventurous, to get inventive, to think, well, we don't have evidence on him for any of these incidents, but maybe, if just maybe, we tie him up in a RICO and put him with people who may have committed crimes, we can get him that way. That's an abuse. And so, yes, for some strange reason, the Fulton County DA's office seems to be in love with RICO, and my honest opinion is that they're in love with it because it makes it easier for them to try and convict people that they otherwise could not convict. And that's what was happening here. We're fighting a mountain, reams of evidence, most of which didn't have anything to do with us.
Oh, you said y'all trying to make up new rules. Y'all is straight liars. You ain't had nothing, so you was fabricating anything you could, and you could not make it stick. You could not make it stick. Oh, he going crazy, yo. It's a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been allowed, that should not have been done during this court case. It was a lot of foul play. It was a lot of things going on that should have led to mistrial many, many times. But, yo, they won. And he get to talk his shit. He get to talk his talk. It don't matter because he won. He came out victorious in the long run. He said Giant had no information that tied him to any crimes. So you tried to tie him to other people that you could not do. You can't do that. He called it abuse. These boys talking. These boys is talking.
And so is it an abuse? I think it is. There are better ways to, and I used to be a prosecutor, right? And I can tell you that there are better ways to prosecute cases than the way this case was prosecuted.
Good God, yo. They going hard. Highlighted their careers. They already up because they had Young Thug wanting them to represent him. But the dub, like to pull the dub? Bro even said, I've been done this before, bruh. You ain't do your job good or right. You ain't do it well whatsoever. And they aggressive with it too. They letting it be known. They are saying this all flat out. This was done wrong. It's almost even a miracle that we were able to make it out of this by the grace of Judge Whitaker. Paige Whitaker, saying that the prosecution was fabricating everything because they had nothing. They just wanted this man to go down.
You guys obviously rejected initially what the state was going to offer. Is there some details you can give us? Because it sounds like from what you guys decided in court, I mean, it's still pretty stringent. There's a lot of different details, but what was the state asking for that you guys rejected?
I'm not going to get into plea negotiations because they are privileged under statute, but it was outrageous. They would let him out of custody, but they would have a tether around him so tight that it's unconscionable.
He said they was trying to wring his throat with the plea deals. They was trying to give him some bogus-ish, some BS, and he could not go for it. It was not worth it. It must have been crazy. I wish he would go into detail about it.
And how are y'all feeling about what the sentencing is, especially with not being able to be in Metro Atlanta except for specific parameters, and how is Mr. Williams feeling about that decision?
You know, we're okay with the sentence. There comes a time in any case, if a person is sentenced, that we're out of the courtroom, and now what happens to that person is entirely up to them. Jeffrey Williams is a fantastically talented man. He is a great person. He's become a great friend over the course of the last couple of years. And he has the ability, the incentive to go forth and do everything he needs to do to put this behind him. And we're confident that he will. One of the questions you asked a little earlier was, what was that feeling like, stepping into a courtroom to do what's called a blind plea, not knowing what's going to happen? You know, it's a scary feeling for all involved. There's probably no feeling quite like that other than sitting in a courtroom waiting for a jury to come out and tell you what your fate is. But we walked in there knowing that we were in front of a fair tribunal and being comfortable that the right thing was going to happen, and the right thing did.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have went into a blind plea. I have no idea. That sounds terrifying. You just making pleas. You don't know what you could possibly get out of it. I don't even know. I ain't even no Young Thug fan. I don't even really like bro that much. But just knowing the nature of court cases, lawyers, defendants, prosecutions, like impeccable to see this man stand up for Young Thug. Like I really don't even care for Young Thug like that. But this is incredible. This is incredible.
What do you think about your client just serving as a role model? Obviously, as part of the agreement, he's going to be participating in the community, doing events, things like that. Obviously, he has a huge reach for what he does for a living.
I've known Jeffrey Williams. I've defended him for over a decade. I have been with him where we go to young children, children in need, children who are going down the wrong way. And he tells exactly what he's going to continue to say. He tells everybody, this is not a good life. We have to stop the generational disaster that is plaguing the community. And although right now I'm successful, I'm a product, but every one of you can get out. And he always stresses education. Jeffrey Williams is a great person, a great role model, and he will do even better now, hopefully, if you allow him and his words to get out. As far as how Jeffrey's feeling now, he knows my feelings, which I'm not going to reveal for attorney-client privilege, but this is not the same as a not guilty verdict. That should have been rang. But nobody here wakes up every day on a concrete floor that they're calling his bed, gets up at 4:15, gets shackled at his feet, his waist, and his hands, comes to the Fulton County Courthouse to be on concrete, eating out of a bag. Doritos is his meal of choice. And then coming to a courtroom and sit there with a leg chain on him every single day and hear lie after lie. So for Jeffrey, go home today and not have another 90 days or 120 days of it, he is very happy, thankful to the Honorable Court. So to answer your question, this was not what I wanted. I don't believe that it is just, but I believe that under these circumstances, it is justice for Jeffrey Williams, and he is delighted, as are we, and thankful.
All right, yo, I'm gonna end it right there. The boy said, y'all don't know nothing. Anybody walking free, you don't know nothing about this life. To wake up, have to get shackles on your ankles, shackles on your hand, eat out of a bag, Doritos, dog. You don't know nothing about that. You don't get it, bro. This is serious. Said I was with him. Y'all don't know. And on top of that, they lying on me. They lying on me. You don't know. You don't know what that do to you, dog. Hey, they win this. They finna make a documentary. They gonna make a TV series. They gonna make all of that. They milking this interview though. I'm gonna finish it off camera, but that's all I'm gonna show y'all. Y'all go watch the whole thing. Y'all go watch it. I'm sure a lot of people already have them, but go watch it. Go watch it. This is insane. So, man, good on you. Good on you guys. I can't believe that Thug is free. I can't believe that the whole trial went this way. This was like a terrible trial, just to be honest with you. It was a terrible trial. I just had a lens from social media most of the time and a couple YouTube videos with a couple trial days. But for the most part, it was just a general consensus that this was a bad trial. There was no way they were going to get this man the way they had hoped to. They were scraping for stuff and they just couldn't get a good grasp on anything. So, man, good trial. Good trial. I can't wait to see how Thug is able to transition back into the real world on probation. I want to see how he does. I'm not a big fan of Thug and his music career. He got some good tracks, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not a heavy Thug follower. I would like to see the type of music that he's going to be putting out, just the type of endeavors that he's going to be getting himself into that are not going to be related to gang activity. How is he going to navigate that? So, yeah, man, but Thug is free. Thug is free. A lot of people said it wouldn't happen. There was a point where even I said there was no way they got you on a RICO charge. Me not knowing shit, just saying and thinking. it was not gonna happen. But it happened. They proved a lot of people wrong. I'm gonna say that much. They proved a lot of people wrong. So, man, now if we talking about Lil Durk, I don't think it's gonna go the same way. I don't think so at all. But we will see. We will see. That's the video. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be dropping more videos, and see y'all later. These some heavy hitters right here, man. And you know they milking the interview because, like, ooh, it would hit so different if, like, they just said, like, we're happy with the outcome and tried to walk off. But, like, nah, they going in right now.